The Berlin Open has always been a showcase for the world's best tennis talent, but this year something unprecedented is unfolding. As Alex Eala prepares to arrive in the German capital for the WTA 500 tournament, news of her participation has reached the highest levels of government, with Germany's Chancellor making a stunning announcement that has nothing to do with politics and everything to do with the 21-year-old Filipina sensation. The tournament, already featuring 9 of the world's top 10 players, is stacked with elite competition, yet the Chancellor's words have elevated Eala's arrival into something far bigger than tennis, turning her presence into a global talking point. What exactly did Germany's leaders say about the Filipina star? And why is this moment being described as the most powerful international endorsement of her young career? Berlin, Germany, June 2026. The announcement that shook the tennis world begins with Alex Eala securing a wildcard entry into the main draw of the WTA 500 Berlin Open, a major upgrade from qualifying rounds that places her directly into one of the most competitive events of the grass court season, where she joins a field packed with top-ranked names including Aryna Sabalenka, Elena Rybakina, Coco Gauff, Jessica Pegula, and newly crowned French Open champion Mira Andreeva. Serena Williams had already confirmed she would compete in doubles, while Boris Becker had personally invited the Filipina star, calling her tennis's next superstar. Yet what came next was something no one, neither Eala, her team, nor the wider tennis world, could have anticipated. The Chancellor of Germany had taken notice. Berlin, Germany, June 13, 2026, Federal Chancellery. The statement was brief, but its impact was seismic, as Germany's head of government issued a formal welcome to Alex Eala ahead of the Berlin Open, a gesture typically reserved for visiting heads of state, Olympic champions, or figures of global historic significance. The message read, "Germany welcomes Alex Eala to Berlin. Her journey from the courts of Manila to the grass of Berlin is an inspiration to young athletes everywhere. We are honored that she has chosen to compete in our country as she pursues her Wimbledon dream." The announcement sent shockwaves through the tennis world, with fans in the Philippines, who had watched their champion battle fines, fees, and repeated snubs from the WTA, while celebrating her Birmingham Open victory and rise to world number 33, now witnessing a level of recognition rarely seen in modern tennis. Acknowledgement from the highest level of international leadership. "I don't even know what to say," one fan in Manila wrote, tears practically visible in the message. The Chancellor of Germany just welcomed Alex Eala to Berlin, not because she's a world champion, but because of her journey, because of her fight. Another added, "From cracked courts in Quezon City to a welcome from the German Chancellor. This is not just a tennis story, it's a story about what happens when you never give up." For Eala, preparing for the most important tournament of her grass court season, a result that could determine her Wimbledon seeding, the Chancellor's words brought both immense pressure and powerful validation. She was no longer just a tennis player climbing the rankings. She had become a symbol, an inspiration, an athlete whose story resonated far beyond the baseline, and Berlin was ready to welcome her. Berlin, Germany, June 13, 2026, Federal Chancellery. The statement that followed was brief, but its impact was seismic, as Germany's head of government issued a formal welcome to Alex Eala ahead of the Berlin Open, a gesture typically reserved for visiting heads of state, high-level dignitaries, or Olympic champions returning in triumph. The message read, "Berlin welcomes Alex Eala. Her journey from the courts of Manila to the grass of Berlin is an inspiration to young athletes everywhere. She represents the spirit of international sportsmanship that makes events like the Berlin Open so special." The statement continued, "We are honored that she has chosen to compete in our country as she pursues her Wimbledon dream." The Filipino community in Germany has already shown tremendous enthusiasm for her arrival, and we look forward to witnessing her talent on the grass courts of our capital. The announcement sent shockwaves through the tennis world. A sitting chancellor, the leader of Europe's largest economy, had taken time to personally welcome a tennis player's arrival, not a Grand Slam champion, not a world number one, but a 21-year-old from the Philippines still chasing her first Wimbledon seeding, fresh off a loss to her close friend Eva Jovic at Queen's Club, and standing at a decisive point in her grass court season. The tennis world seemed to stop scrolling. Filipino fans who had watched their champion fight through fines, fees, and repeated snubs from the WTA, who had celebrated her Birmingham Open triumph and her rise to world number 33, were now witnessing something unprecedented: recognition from the highest level of international leadership. "I don't even know what to say," one fan wrote, words shaking with disbelief. One fan posted from Manila, tears practically visible in the words. The message read, "The Chancellor of Germany just welcomed Alex Eala to Berlin, not because she's a world champion, not because she's a superstar, but because of her journey, because of her fight." Another wrote, "From cracked courts in Quezon City to a welcome from the German Chancellor, this is not just a tennis story. This is a story about what happens when you never give up." The Chancellor's statement did not mention politics, trade agreements, or diplomatic relations. It focused entirely on Eala's journey, her resilience, her rise, and her role as an inspiration to young athletes everywhere. For a player who had been underestimated, overlooked, and even fined by the tennis establishment, the endorsement carried a different kind of weight. This was not a sponsor, a coach, or a former player. This was the elected leader of one of the world's most powerful nations publicly acknowledging that her story mattered. Berlin, Germany, June 2026. The Eala effect reaches Europe. The Chancellor's announcement did not happen in isolation. It was the culmination of a phenomenon years in the making, a wave of Filipino pride that had swept across continents and transformed foreign courts into something resembling home turf whenever Alex Eala competed. The Eala effect had already been documented in Dubai, where ticket sales jumped 48%, and veteran referee Hani Al-Kafif admitted he was scared to look at my WhatsApp messages because of ticket requests. It had been seen again in Indian Wells, where Filipino fans from California turned the tournament into a homecoming atmosphere, and in Birmingham, where 25,000 fans filled center court and nearly 70% of final tickets were purchased by the Filipino diaspora. Now, it was Germany's turn. Germany is home to one of the largest Filipino communities in Europe. According to official estimates, more than 150,000 Filipinos live and work in the country: nurses, engineers, caregivers, and professionals who have built new lives far from home. For them, Alex Eala is more than a tennis player. She is a living connection to a homeland they left behind, a reminder that distance does not diminish pride. "I receive a lot of love and support from the Philippines, and it honestly makes me feel very proud and grateful," Eala had said during the Miami Open, reflecting on her rapidly growing global fan base. "It's such a good thing to have, and I'm super grateful. I'm happy that Filipinos are being exposed to tennis. At the end of the day, it's just a way for us to kind of bond and show pride in our culture." In Germany, that connection has already begun to take shape. Filipino community groups have started organizing in advance of the Berlin Open, with social media networks dedicated to Eala's campaign coordinating flag distributions, ticket purchases, and dedicated cheering sections inside the stadium. The German newspaper Bild ran a feature on the Eala effect, profiling overseas Filipino workers who have taken vacation days specifically to travel to Berlin to witness her matches. For the Chancellor, the formal recognition of Eala was more than symbolic. It was also an acknowledgement of a rapidly growing diaspora community and a celebration of values Germany often emphasizes: hard work, resilience, and the pursuit of excellence. She represents the spirit of international sportsmanship that makes events like the Berlin Open so special, the Chancellor's statement read. The tennis world took note immediately. No other player, not even the world number one, had recently received such a public acknowledgement from a sitting head of government. Eala's arrival in Berlin was no longer just a sporting event. It had taken on the weight of a diplomatic moment. Berlin, Germany, Manila, Philippines, June 2026. In the hours following the announcement, the tennis world erupted. The hashtag Chancellor welcomes Eala surged to the top of trending lists across the Philippines, Germany, the United Kingdom, the United States, and Australia. Filipino fans who had watched their champion endure fines, fees, and repeated snubs from the tennis establishment now witnessed something unprecedented: recognition from the highest levels of international leadership. From Manila, one fan wrote, "The Chancellor of Germany just welcomed Alex Eala, not because she's a world champion, not because she's a superstar, but because of her journey, because of her fight. I'm crying." Another added, From cracked courts in Quezon City to a welcome from the German Chancellor, this is not just a tennis story. It's a story about what happens when you never give up. A third post went further. Alex Eala has done something no Filipino athlete has ever done. She has captured the attention of world leaders. She has made them care about tennis. She has made them care about us. In Germany, fans also joined the conversation, proud of their country's leadership for acknowledging global talent. The Chancellor knows what she's doing, one Berlin-based supporter wrote. Alex Eala is a phenomenon. She brings people together. She makes tennis exciting. She deserves this welcome. Even current and former players weighed in. Boris Becker, who had previously invited Eala to Berlin and called her tennis's next superstar, posted, "The Chancellor's welcome is well-deserved." Alex Eala is no longer just a great tennis player, she has become an inspiration to millions. Germany is proud to have her. Venus Williams, who will partner with Eala in doubles at the Bad Homburg Open, posted, "When a head of state recognizes a young athlete's journey, it means something. Alex has earned this, not with trophies alone, but with her heart." Billie Jean King added, "This is what sport can do. It transcends borders. It unites people." Alex Eala has brought the Philippines and Germany together through her fighting spirit, and that impact has become impossible to ignore. The WTA, as has become familiar in Eala's career, was asked for comment and declined, but at this point the silence carries less weight than the global conversation unfolding without it. Alex Eala is no longer just a tennis player fighting for ranking points. She is an international figure, recognized by world leaders, celebrated by nations, and welcomed with open arms into one of Europe's most important tournaments, Berlin Open, June 15, 2026. The draw is imminent. The tennis world is waiting. The Chancellor of Germany's welcome is now official. The statement has been released, and reactions have flooded in from across the sport. But for Eala, the work has only just begun. The tournament features 9 of the world's top 10 players. Serena Williams will compete in doubles. Boris Becker will be watching from the stands. And the pressure surrounding Eala could not be higher. Currently ranked world number 33, just one spot outside the Wimbledon seeding cutoff, she is carrying a critical points gap heading into Berlin. The 163 points from her previous year's Eastbourne final are set to expire on June 22nd, the same day as the seeding cutoff, meaning she must deliver a deep run here to protect her ranking and secure her Wimbledon seed. The field is stacked. The expectations are immense, but something has shifted. The Chancellor's welcome is no longer seen as a purely political gesture. It has become a recognition of everything Eala represents: resilience, determination, and the ability to inspire millions across borders. It is a reminder that her journey has already transcended tennis itself. I receive a lot of love and support from the Philippines, and it honestly makes me feel very proud and grateful, Eala had once said. Now, that wave of support has extended beyond her homeland, to Germany, to the Chancellor, and to a nation of over 84 million people preparing to watch her compete on their grass courts. The Berlin Open will be her first real opportunity to prove she belongs among the sport's elite. The tournament runs from June 15th to 21st, with the Bad Homburg event following immediately after, where she will partner with Venus Williams in doubles. Wimbledon looms just ahead on the horizon. The grass season is unforgiving, the schedule relentless, but Alex Eala has never backed down from a challenge. She left home at 13 to train at the Rafa Nadal Academy. She signed a waiver when the WTA advised her to withdraw from Birmingham. She accepted a $50,000 fine after pulling out of a mandatory tournament. She fought on even when tournament directors overlooked her for Eastbourne and Berlin entries in earlier years. Each setback only sharpened her resolve. Now she arrives in Berlin not just as a wild card entry, but as a guest of honor, welcomed by the Chancellor of Germany, embraced by the Filipino diaspora, and watched by a tennis world that can no longer ignore her rise. The draw will be released soon. Her first opponent is still unknown. But whatever happens on court, Alex Eala has already achieved something no opponent can take away. She has earned the respect of a nation, and Berlin, in many ways, is just the beginning. Shocking news from Berlin Open 2026. Germany's Chancellor has made a massive announcement ahead of Alex Eala's arrival at the WTA 500 tournament, issuing a formal welcome to the 21-year-old Filipina star and calling her an inspiration to young athletes around the world. The statement immediately sent shockwaves through the tennis community. A sitting chancellor, the leader of Europe's largest economy, took the rare step of personally acknowledging a tennis player's arrival, not a Grand Slam champion or world number one, but a rising 21-year-old still chasing her first Wimbledon seeding. Almost instantly, the hashtag Chancellor Welcomes Eala began trending worldwide, with Filipino fans reacting emotionally and celebrating the recognition from the highest level of international leadership. Tennis legends including Boris Becker, Venus Williams, and Billie Jean King also offered praise and support, while the WTA remained silent on the matter. As Eala prepares for a crucial stretch in Berlin, followed by Bad Homburg alongside Venus Williams and the looming challenge of Wimbledon, this unprecedented endorsement adds another powerful layer to her growing global legacy. If you want more stories about the drama, the recognition, and the incredible journey of Alex Eala, smash that subscribe button and join the Court Legacy family. Because in tennis, the real stories aren't just about winners and losers, they're about the champions who capture the world's attention. What do you think about the German Chancellor welcoming Alex Eala to Berlin 2026? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.